Hey there, my name's Phil, and today we're going to be talking about building a website and creating a website plan. So, if you're on a new website build out or you're planning one, this is a list that I use vaguely to outline what needs to happen for a site. And I guarantee if you follow these steps, your next website build out is going to be a singing success. So, if that all sounds good, let's get started. Okay, kicking it off. Yeah, building a new website can be tough, but it doesn't have to, right? If you run through this outline, you don't have to follow the steps directly, but I think I've touched on everything that you would need to plan it out. So, yeah, let's go right into it. So, not every website's created equal, and I know some organizations are like, we need a website, right? And that's the extent of it. But I really would invite you to define a purpose for your website because your website's intended to be more than a business card and a calling card, right? Are you gearing it up for e-commerce, as a portfolio, as a way to capture leads? Make sure you define that purpose, and we're going to touch back on this here in a few moments. Knowing your audience. This is actually just as important for launching a business, but if you're already working with a business or your business already currently has customers, look at that ideal customer profile and figure out who they are, how they talk, and how you can sort of make a website that speaks to their struggle and speaks their language in order to make it more attractive, frankly. Choosing a domain name. Domain names are hard to get in 2023 in this day and age. So make sure you create something memorable. And if you're using an existing brand name, you don't have to worry about this. But do your best. Make sure it's relevant. Yeah, I think that's about it. Hosting providers, there's tons of them. Just make sure you read the different features offered by your hosting provider. And price is not the only consideration. I know people sometimes opt for the cheapest plans. And me personally, I use SiteGrounds. I have no issues. So that's what I use for my WordPress sites. But definitely check out the features of the hosting plan before you get in there. Setting clear goals, going back to the campaign goals. You got to set clear goals for your website. So figuring out how your site can be the best sales tool possible is super important. And I invite you to spend extra time laying out some clear goals for your website. So when it's time to make the site an ROI statement on the site, you could at least say, hey, we've generated X number of leads and so on and so forth. Again, your site's meant to be more than a business card or a calling card. Increasing that interaction for your ideal customers is a great way to get more business and stand out among the crowd. Planning your content will help you because you can blueprint that content beforehand, and then you won't feel stressed when it's time to write or create. So planning out your content either for the launch or post-launch is something I recommend. And yeah, it's just going to help you out. I lay content calendars out in spreadsheets. So plan them months in advance and you will never be short on topics. Design and layout's tough for some business owners looking at a site because they're limited to the site design and layout of the CMS that they provide, right? So sometimes I use WordPress and sometimes the site and design's limited by WordPress. So I would recommend getting started building on the site of your choice and then deciding how that's available, kind of what layout's available, and then going from there. User experience matters. So you need to make sure your site is navigatable, and I've heard it said that you want your most valuable content to be available in 2 clicks or less. So make sure your most valuable and most relevant content is easy to access in 2 clicks or less. Make sure you have everything labeled, easy to navigate, an intuitive but awesome menu. You know the drill. Just make your site super usable. Speaking of usable, make sure your site is mobile responsive. One way to certainly mess up a site launch is failing to check on mobile devices. So again, I can't stress this enough, but checking on mobile devices is a great way to make sure your site's mobile responsive. Site content management systems like WordPress, Wix, Joomla, Webflow, they're going to dictate a lot of how your site operates. So take your time to choose site content management system. But for me, I like WordPress and Webflow right now. Those typically serve 99% of the sites that I've built. So yeah. Visual branding. So if you already have a logo and a brand, just go with that. But if you're creating a new brand, now's a new opportunity to select a color scheme, typography, and logo so you can represent your brand consistently across the web. It can be a fun exercise and can be a daunting exercise, but working together with your team to make sure you create sort of a visual brand guide is the best way to make sure it's consistency across the whole organization. I can make a whole video about this unto itself, but SEO, basically research your keywords, look at that content, and set up basic on-page content during your site launch so you don't have to go back and do it later. Of course, you can always go back and do it later, but you definitely want to at least get things going in the right direction with your site launch. So integration is just an analysis or a catalog of all the tools that you want on the site, making sure you have all the functionalities that you need, and then adding them to the site as part of the build out plan. So for me, I use Google Analytics, Calendly, and that's about it, right? So I want to make sure Google Analytics and Calendly are on my site. You test all those things prior, and then you go from there. So just don't wait till the last minute to add these new advanced functionality and gizmos. They should really be baked into the plan as you go. Security. Security used to be a bit more extreme a few years ago, but generally your site hosting provider will handle this. However, it does bear mentioning. Yeah, that's about it. Just make sure your site's secure. Testing your site frequently before it's time to launch is a great way to avoid any bugs, and there's nothing like having a call from the client after launch to say something's wrong. So just avoid that and launch with good stuff in the foreground and you'll be okay. Just test all the forms, all the functionality, all those integrations that you built prior to site launch. Yeah, I always create a little bit of fanfare, letting people know that may be interested that the new site's up and that new functionality is up, and email everybody you know about it, because especially customers, if there's a new functionality or an integration to be used. Going back to analytics, setting up analytics will help you analyze what's working and what's not on the site. And I could talk about this forever, but we'll touch on that really briefly. Just have Google Analytics. Regular maintenance for WordPress sites, for example, is quite often making sure things are updated. And after you update, make sure things are running. Yeah, some sites need more maintenance than others. So just be mindful of the amount of plugins and stuff that you have going to make sure that site's being updated regularly so it stays secure and functional. One of the things that I've done with site launches is I had friends and family bounce around the sites to try to determine if there's any bugs. Sometimes when you work on something for a while, you sort of miss the easy stuff, and having another set of eyes is very helpful. Furthermore, when your site launches, it's just a good idea to listen to actual users because they may point out things that you need to work on, and don't take their feedback lightly. So that was a lot really fast. I know I went really quick, but if you follow these things, I guarantee your next site launch will be a smash success. Feel free to leave me a comment. Let me know how this content's going. Do you like this type of content? Is this helpful? Let me know. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you so much for watching all the way to the end. I really appreciate it. And good luck with your next site launch. Take care. Bye-bye.